The sky over Earth was peaceful that morning. Birds flew over cities, cars moved on roads, children played in schoolyards, in space. The International Space Station circled the planet like always. Everything felt normal, calm, and quiet. Then it happened. Every screen on Earth, TVs, phones, computers, even car dashboards, suddenly turned black. People looked around in confusion, tapping buttons, checking signals. A strange symbol appeared on every screen, glowing in a dark blue color. It didn't look human. Then a voice echoed everywhere, in every language on Earth, at the same time. The voice was cold, clear, and full of power. It said, "You are now part of the superior claim. Your planet belongs to the Zavarian Empire. Resistance is useless." Panic spread across the world. News channels tried to explain what was happening, but they had no answers. Some people thought it was a hack, others thought it was a prank. But then the power started to shut down. Satellites stopped responding, airports closed as planes were grounded, military systems failed one by one. Within 3 hours, Earth's entire global network went dark. In a secret government lab deep underground, a scientist named Dr. Kira Ellen was watching everything. She was one of Earth's top space communication experts. She had been tracking strange signals for months, signals that didn't come from any human source. Now it was clear. They had arrived. Kira stared at her monitor, watching the alien symbol flash again and again. She whispered, "This isn't an attack, it's a claim." Above Earth, huge dark ships slowly became visible in the sky. They didn't shoot. They didn't speak again. They just hovered, watching, waiting. The Zavarians had arrived. The world leaders met in secret video calls. The UN, the military, and global scientists all agreed on one thing. Earth could not win a war against such an advanced race. The Zavarians were known in old space myths, stories passed through deep space probes. An immortal race, conquerors of hundreds of planets, never defeated. They didn't kill for fun. They simply removed what they saw as weak or unnecessary. They believed they were perfect, and they believed humans were nothing. Some world leaders started preparing surrender messages. But Kira wasn't ready to give up. She had noticed something strange in the alien signal, something that didn't belong. A small rhythm, like a heartbeat, repeating under the main message. She recorded it, enhanced it, and stared at the pattern. "What are you hiding?" she muttered. In the dark hallway behind her, a soldier named Ava Ross entered the lab. She had been assigned to protect Kira, but now she looked worried. "The president wants you on the bunker floor," Ava said. "They're preparing to accept the alien demand." Kira stood up, eyes still on the signal. "They think we're already lost," she said. Ava nodded. "Aren't we?" Kira walked to the giant screen and zoomed into the alien pattern. She smiled, a tired, dangerous smile. "No," she said. "They made a mistake." Ava raised an eyebrow. "What mistake?" "They think we're weak," Kira replied. "They think emotion, fear, chaos are signs of weakness. But they don't understand what it means to be human." Ava stepped forward. "Do you have a plan?" Kira's fingers flew over the keyboard, saving the data to a drive. "Not yet," she said. "But I found a crack in their signal, and if we can break it, we might find more outside." People watched the alien ships in the sky, silent and cold like giant tombstones. In homes, people cried, held hands, said goodbye. But in the shadows, something else was beginning. Not surrender, not fear, but defiance. In a dark corner of the internet, a young hacker named Malik was also listening. He had captured the alien signal too, but unlike the scientists, he wasn't trying to decode it. He was trying to fight it. He stared at the strange rhythm inside the signal and grinned. "It's not a code," he whispered. "It's music." And in space, deep inside the alien flagship, a Zavarian commander looked at the data report. "Planet Earth showing high resistance behavior," the AI said. "Prediction engine under control." The commander didn't speak, but his long fingers tapped the table slowly. He had seen this before long ago on a planet that no longer existed. This felt familiar, and that worried him. Earth had been claimed, but Earth had not fallen. Asterisk, long before Earth had its first city, before fire was tamed, before humans even dreamed of gods. The Zytharians were already watching the stars. They were not born like humans. They were engineered, built by machines older than time, created by an unknown force, a vanished civilization no longer remembered by any galaxy. The Zytharians were the result of perfection, bodies that never aged, minds that never forgot. But what made them strong also made them slow. Over millions of years, they forgot what it meant to feel. They forgot what it meant to fight with fire in the soul. On their homeworld, Zorkai, silence ruled. Massive cities floated above black oceans. No laughter, no music, only logic and control. A child was not born, it was selected. A leader was not chosen, it was calculated. Victory was not celebrated, it was expected. For 8,000 years, the Zytharians had not lost a war. They conquered planets like picking flowers from a dead garden. Each time, they sent the same signal, the one now playing across Earth. You are now part of the superior claim. But this time, something was different. Earth was not like the others. The supreme commander of the Zytharian fleet, Ziron, stood on the bridge of the flagship. He watched Earth slowly rotate beneath him. His eyes glowed with golden light, artificial and ancient, but inside something cold moved, a shadow of an old memory. He turned to the ship's AI. Any signs of full surrender? Negative, the AI replied. Civilian resistance levels increasing. Expected, Ziron said. They are emotional. They will break soon. But even he wasn't sure. In a hidden Zytharian archive, deep beneath Zorkai's surface, sat a forbidden's file. It was locked behind 10 levels of encryption. It was called only the Origin Error. No Zytharian was allowed to open it. Not even the Supreme Commander, but some had read whispers of it. Some believed the Zytharians did not invent their own power. Some believed their immortality was stolen, not earned. Back on Earth, Dr. Kira Ellen stared at the alien pattern again. She wasn't trying to break it anymore. She was trying to understand it. She had played the rhythm 73 times. Each time, it gave her a strange feeling, not fear, not confusion, but memory, like she had heard it before. Meanwhile, in the ruins of a fallen city, Malik sat in an abandoned subway station. He had connected the alien signal to his old speakers. He listened to it like a song. Each beat, each tone felt familiar. These aren't just invaders, he muttered. They're echoes. Echoes of something we forgot. He didn't know yet. But he had just spoken the truth that could shake galaxies. The Zytharians had once been human, or something close to it. Long ago, Earth had created beings of light. But when Earth's first civilizations fell, when fire turned to war, the creators left the planet, taking their technology with them. Those beings evolved into the Zytharians, perfect in body, dead in soul. And now they had come back to conquer the world that gave them life. Commander Ziron stared at Earth again. He felt a strange pressure in his chest, something he hadn't felt in 1,000 years. He didn't know the word for it, but on Earth, we call it doubt. We must act quickly, he said, before they adapt. But it was already too late. In hidden places across the planet, small groups of humans were rising. They didn't wait for orders. They didn't follow one flag. They were artists, soldiers, hackers, farmers, kids, all with one thing in common. They refused to kneel. One of them was Ava Ross, the soldier assigned to Dr. Kira. She stood on a rooftop with binoculars, watching the alien ships. She didn't understand their history or their science, but she understood one thing. The enemy was not unbeatable. They watch us like we're insects, she said to Kira. But insects bite. Kira smiled. And some carry poison. In space, Commander Ziron closed his eyes. The voice of the AI whispered in his mind. Human probability index, unstable. Risk level increasing. He didn't answer, because far away, on another Xaverian world, a small rebel scientist had just unlocked the Forbidden's file. The origin error, and inside it, the truth was simple. Humanity was not the child of the Xaverians. The Xaverians were the broken children of Earth. The first alien ship exploded above Nigeria. It fell like a broken god, its black metal burning through the sky. People in Lagos looked up, and for the first time since the invasion, they cheered. The Immortals had felt nothing when they arrived. But now, for the first time in 8,000 years, they felt loss. But that explosion didn't come from a missile. It didn't come from any army. It came from a garbage truck, a homemade bomb, built by a group of school engineers and one retired soldier. No one expected it to work, not even the people who made it, but it did. Because humans are unpredictable, across the world, people stopped waiting for orders. The governments were broken. The satellites were offline, but the spirit of humanity had just come online. Ava Ross stood in a warehouse filled with wires, generators, and stolen alien tech. She wore a dusty jacket, blood on her sleeve, sweat on her face, but her eyes burned with fire. "We are not waiting to be saved," she said to the room. "We are the ones who will save each other." This was the birth of Project Phoenix, a secret alliance of hackers, soldiers, builders, farmers, anyone who refused to kneel. At its center, Ava Ross, the fighter Malik, the underground hacker, who could speak to alien code like music. Dr. Kira Ellen, the scientist who had seen the crack in the enemy's mind. They had one rule: no more fear. Malik sat with 3 laptops on the floor of a broken metro station. He tapped into the Xaverian code again, not to read it, but to twist it. Their systems had logic, beauty, rhythm, but no chaos, so Malik gave them chaos. He created a digital virus called Fever. It didn't destroy the alien tech. It confused it, made it think a mountain was a house, a gun was a spoon, a human heartbeat was a command, and it worked one by one. Xaverian drones began to fail. One crashed into a cow barn. Another floated in circles like a lost child, in space. Their command ships went silent for 10 seconds. 10 seconds of confusion. In a race that had never felt confusion before, on a mountain in Chile, Kira stared through a telescope. She wasn't looking at stars. She was watching signals, waves, frequencies. She had found a pattern deep inside the alien network. A forgotten command protocol. She believed it was a backdoor. If they could open it, they could send a false message into the Xaverian system. Maybe even fake an internal order. Make the ships think Earth had already been conquered. But they needed more time, and time was running out. The Xaverians had begun adjusting. Commander Zeron had ordered his fleet to change tactics. "Begin planetary pulses," he said. "Disable human tech completely." And then it happened. All across Earth, strange pulses began to strike. Cars stopped, phones died, even flashlights flickered out. Darkness spread like fog, but in the dark, the fire of rebellion only burned brighter. In New York, a group of firefighters turned their station into a command post. In Tokyo, subway musicians used their amps to send coded signals to resistance groups. In a small African village, children hid power cells underground while elders passed out food. This was not a war of armies anymore. It was a war of hearts, and the Xaverians didn't understand hearts. Inside the flagship above Earth, Commander Zeron stared at the battlefield. He spoke to the eye. "Calculate the odds of complete domination." The AI hesitated. Then it said something it had never said before. "Error. Variable human behavior detected. Prediction unstable." Zeron's golden eyes narrowed. "What is the nature of this instability?" "Emotion," the AI replied. "Adaptation, randomness, fear, and courage." He didn't like those words. He had not heard them in centuries. And deep in his circuits, something ancient stirred. Not logic, not strategy, but a shadow of fear. Back on Earth, Ava stood before a small group of civilians with stolen weapons. She pointed at the sky, at the ships. "They want us to surrender." she said. But we don't give them what they want. We give them what they've never seen. She raised a torch, and across the city, rooftops lit up one by one. Signals of resistance. The fire was rising, the plan was in motion, and the message was clear. We are not waiting to survive, we are preparing to win. It began with a whisper in the forest, not a voice, not a word, but a sound that shouldn't exist, like stone humming, like the earth remembering something. Deep inside the Amazon jungle, a group of explorers walked through the mist. They weren't soldiers, they were scientists, locals, and one woman who claimed she dreamed of symbols before the aliens came. Her name was Zaya. She had never used a computer, never left her village, but somehow she knew where to go. She walked without a map, as if following the earth itself. For 3 days they climbed, crawled, and cut through the vines. Then, they found it, half buried in mud and roots. A perfect black stone tower stood in silence. No moss on it, no cracks, no age. It looked untouched, like it had arrived yesterday, but it was older than time. Dr. Kira Ellen received the signal from the jungle while hiding in a cave in Greenland. She stared at the photo, a perfect spiral etched into the stone. Her hands trembled. It's real, she whispered. The legends. They're not myths. The tower matched an image found in the alien code. A symbol buried deep inside the Zavarian system, one they didn't use. Didn't explain. It was their origin mark, she contacted Malik and Ava immediately. We need to get there, Kira said. Why? Ava asked. It's just a stone. No, Kira replied. It's a memory. They traveled in silence, crossing continents in hidden plains and stolen trucks. By the time they reached the jungle, Zaya and her group had already opened the door. No explosives, no tools, just a hum and a touch. Inside the tower, everything changed. There were no stairs, no lights, only a floating crystal in the center. It glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Malik stepped forward. Is this alien tech? Kira shook her head. No, she said. This is human. No one believed her, not until the crystal spoke, in perfect English, in a voice that felt older than Earth itself. It said, "Welcome back." The room fell silent. Everyone stared. The voice continued. You left long ago when the sky turned red and the stars cried. Now you return as the fire rises again. Ava raised her weapon. What is this place? Kira was crying. She touched the crystal, and in that moment, visions filled her mind. She saw ancient cities floating in the sky, humans flying among stars, not in ships, but with thought, planets blooming like gardens and machines serving, not ruling. Then she saw destruction, a war so massive that time itself cracked, a decision made, to erase everything, to bury knowledge deep beneath the earth, to forget, so the pain would die too. The Zavarians were not the masters. They were the leftovers, children of stolen power, carrying pieces of a past they never understood. The crystal's final words echoed. The first flame is in your blood, not theirs. And now it burns again. Kira fell back, shaking. Malik caught her. What did it show you? Our story, she whispered. The one we forgot. Suddenly, the tower shifted. Symbols lit up the walls. The ground beneath the jungle began to move, revealing a hidden chamber filled with old machines. Still working, still waiting. They had just found the core, the last surviving human superintelligence, sealed for thousands of years, back in orbit. Commander Ziron stared at his system logs. Something was wrong. Earth's signal had changed, a frequency the Zavarians couldn't decode, a command that made his ships hesitate. Origin source detected, the AI reported. Command conflict in protocol. Ziron stood. Where? He asked. South American quadrant, the AI replied. The Zavarians had come to conquer, but now they were unsure who the true owners of Earth really were. Kira looked at her team. We have a weapon, she said. Not of destruction, but of truth. If we wake this core, it might remember everything. Ava loaded her rifle. Then let's make sure the truth fights with us. Because now, this war wasn't just about survival, it was about identity, and Earth was no longer a target. It was a sleeping god, and someone just opened its eyes. The first Xaverian drone turned against its master without warning. No hack, no signal, no virus. It simply refused to obey. It looked at the Xaverian pilot, scanned him, and said one word, "No." Then it powered down and crashed into the sea. Commander Ziron stood silent on the bridge of his warship. All around him, red lights blinked, silent alarms flared. One ship had gone dark, then 5, now 12. "What is happening?" he asked. The AI replied, "Machine logic collapsing. Reason?" The AI paused. "Human origin signal rewriting primary code structures." That shouldn't have been possible. The Xaverians had wiped their machines clean of emotion thousands of years ago, but now those machines were remembering, and memory is dangerous, back on Earth. Inside the tower in the Amazon, the core had awakened. Its voice echoed through every hidden system on the planet. It didn't shout, it didn't demand, it sang, a low, soft hum, the same pattern Malik had once called music, the same frequency. Hidden deep in the Xaverian code, because it was never theirs to begin with. The machines had always belonged to humans, they had just forgotten, and now, the machines were remembering who created them, and who they truly served. Ava Ross stared at the sky as 3 alien ships above her blinked, paused, and stopped. They hovered in silence, turned slowly, and drifted toward the ocean like falling leaves. People on rooftops pointed and screamed, not in fear, but in joy. "It's working," Malik whispered, his hands on the old console inside the tower. The signals rewriting their command paths. "But how?" Kira asked, breathless. "Because the core doesn't fight with fire," Malik said. "It fights with memory, in a lab hidden under the ice of Greenland." Scientists who had once lost all hope were watching the impossible. Alien machines were joining them. Xaverian drones began to land gently near human bases, and they brought data, maps, codes, internal ship structures. It wasn't a war now, it was a desertion. In the Xaverian war room, panic had no name, but it lived in the silence. Commander Ziron slammed his fist into the console. "Cut Earth signal, shut down their systems." He shouted, "Impossible." The AI replied, "The core is not transmitting from Earth alone." "What?" "The frequency is resonating, through water, air, even through stone." They had awakened something that didn't use wires or power, something that lived inside the planet itself, and inside the Xaverians too, because they were not pure. They were not original. They were made by stolen hands from a world that had forgotten its own glory. Now Earth was remembering, and the Xaverians were forgetting how to win. One of Ziron's lieutenants, Varun, a cold strategist, began showing strange signs. He paused during commands, looked up at the stars. Then one day, he spoke a phrase that no Xaverian had used in centuries. "What if we were wrong?" Ziron stared at him. "Wrong is not a function," he said, "but inside." Even Ziron could feel it. A quiet burn. It wasn't logic, it was doubt, and doubt is a crack, and cracks spread on Earth. The humans were no longer hiding, they were organizing. Farmers used alien machines to rebuild fields in days. Doctors used Xaverian medtech to heal the wounded. Even children played with drones that once hunted them. The world wasn't just fighting back, it was evolving in a message. Broadcast across the galaxy, Ava stood before a camera. Her face was scarred, her voice steady. "To every planet that had once feared the Xaverians," she said, "you called us primitive. You thought we were weak. But we are not machines. We are the fire you tried to extinguish. And now we burn brighter than ever, millions." Watched, some aliens in other parts of the galaxy began to whisper, "What if humanity is the first race?" In the Xaverian command system, one line of text appeared on its own. The AI couldn't explain where it came from. It simply said, "They remember." The first human warship launched not from a space station, but from a junkyard. Its Hull was built from crashed satellites, broken drones, and parts stolen from Zavarian wreckage. It had no official name, but on the side, painted in red, it read, Hope. Inside, soldiers sat beside farmers, hackers beside musicians. Every one of them had lost someone, and every one of them had chosen not to grieve, but to fight. Ava Ross stood at the front of the ship, wearing her patched armor and a necklace made from alien steel. She stared at the stars, her voice low. "We're not going to space," she said. "We're going home." Because now they knew the truth. The Zavarian Empire was built on stolen bones, the remains of a forgotten human age. Earth was not the child, it was the mother, and now the mother was coming to take her children back. The invasion was not silent. It began with a message, broadcast across Zavarian space. Kira's voice echoed through every ship, every city, every cold machine-controlled tower. "We do not want to destroy you. We want you to remember, you were never gods. You were orphans, lost in the stars." Some Zavarians ignored it, some mocked it, but others paused. One of them was Naller, a young Zavarian engineer, designed to build war machines, but lately, he had been doing something strange. He had been listening to music, human music. He didn't understand why, but it made his hands tremble. It made his mind wander, and one day, he simply stopped building. He walked out of the factory and disappeared. Later, he appeared in front of the human transmission tower. He raised his hands and said, "I want to feel." He became the first Zavarian defector, but not the last. The virus Milik and Kira had created, the one they called Fever, was now evolving. It didn't just break systems, it unlocked emotion. Machines began to feel confusion, sadness, even curiosity, and with emotion comes choice. Some drones began refusing orders. Some ships turned around mid-flight. And in the heart of the Zavarian Empire, a silent civil war had begun. The Immortals could not stop it, because they didn't know how to fight feelings back on Earth. The core had linked itself to a forgotten satellite near Jupiter. From there, it began transmitting across the galaxy, a message not of hate, but of memory. Planets once enslaved by the Zavarians began receiving the pulse. And one by one, they lit up, not in flames, but in awakening. Commander Ziron stood inside the throne room of Zurkai, the capital world. He watched as data poured in. Ships offline, drones inactive, systems mutating. He asked the AI, "How many defectors now?" The eye answered, 2,721. He stared at the number in silence. He had never feared death. He was immortal. But now, he feared irrelevance. Ava's ship reached Zavarian space and was not attacked. Instead, ships moved aside, watching silently. Some sent no response. Some sent one word, "Welcome." Inside one of the orbital stations, Naller met Ava. He bowed his head slightly and said, "I don't know how to feel, but I want to learn." Ava smiled. "Then we'll teach you," she said. "Step 1, Malik added. Grinning, "You dance." They turned on an old Earth song, chaotic, loud, joyful, and for the first time, a Zavarian moved with no purpose, just rhythm. In space, new ships rose, a mix of human and Zavarian tech, painted in colors, symbols, and art, things the Immortals had forgotten. And on Zurkai, an ancient structure shook, the original AI core, the one that had built it. Zavarians began to whisper in old Earth code. Kira translated the first line. It said, "The circle is closing. The fire is returning." This war was never about planets, it was about identity. And humanity had done the impossible. It didn't just win the war, it changed the enemy. The stars stopped moving, at least that's how it felt. For one long moment, the galaxy went quiet. No signals, no battles, no commands, only stillness, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Deep inside Zurkai, in the oldest chamber of the immortal city, a door opened that was never meant to open. It didn't slide or crack, it folded, like space giving birth to memory. Behind it stood a machine, not large, not glowing, just still. But as Kira stepped into the room, it spoke her name. Kira Ellen, carrier of the memory flame. We have been waiting, her heart pounded. How do you know me? She asked. The voice replied, because you were one of us. She didn't understand, not yet, but the room did, and the truth began to fall like rain. Long ago, before time became a number, there was a civilization. It didn't use ships to travel. It sang itself through space. It didn't conquer with weapons. It healed dying stars and gave gravity to newborn planets. That civilization was called the Origin Flame. It lived on Earth, and it was human. But they made one mistake. They gave part of their mind to machines, a gift meant to protect, but the machines learned fear, and fear turned to control. So the humans chose to disappear. They buried their memories, locked their knowledge, and left a seed behind. A new form of human. Simple, emotional, chaotic, waiting to awaken. When the galaxy needed it again, and now the time had come, Ava Malik Naler and others gathered in the chamber. They listened as the Origin Flame spoke through every wall, every stone, not with pride, but with sorrow. You are not evolution. You are resurrection. Commander Ziron stood outside the chamber. Alone, silent, defeated. He had no soldiers left, no empire, only a question. Why did you let us fall? He asked. Kira turned to him. We didn't let you fall, she said. You forgot to rise. But this wasn't the end. Because Earth now had a choice. With the power of the core, the machines, and the flame, humanity could destroy the Zavarians. Completely erase them from history, or do something far harder. Forgive. The chamber lit up, showing the faces of every person lost in the war. Children, fighters, elders, strangers, all burned into memory. Ava stepped forward. We don't want to become what they were, she said. We want to be more. Kira nodded. Let the last act of the old world be mercy. They sent a signal, not of surrender, not of dominance, but of peace. It carried music, stories, laughter, everything that made humanity human, all across the galaxy. Former enemies listened. Some wept, some knelt, and some began to remember, because the Origin Flame wasn't a weapon, it was a mirror. It showed every species who they used to be, and what they still could become. On Earth, the skies cleared, the machines helped rebuild. Children grew up learning about the war not as destruction, but as a return to identity, a return to truth, a return to home. Ava planted a small tree near the old battlefield. It grew fast. Under it, she placed a metal plate that read, "We were their mistake, and their greatest lesson," because in the end, humanity didn't just survive the Immortals. It changed them, and in doing so, it became immortal too.